Traumatic brain injuries are a fairly common injury for folks who've been deployed to Iraq or Afghanistan. Folks who've just been in training who have had any kind of injury to their head, whether that be from a parachute jump or from a car accident while on active duty. Pretty common injury, but it's not so simple as to how the VA actually rates them. Hey everybody, Andy Gross of the Law Office of Andrew P. Gross. Today I want to talk about traumatic brain injuries. Now, a lot of folks will just write on their 21-526 EZ form that they suffered a TBI. And the 21-526 form is, again, that form you use to apply for disability benefits if you're not online. So folks will just write traumatic brain injury on the form, submit that to the VA, and call it a day. The VA will schedule a claim and pension exam, and they'll fill out what's called a disability benefits questionnaire. And I printed one out. They make them public. I printed one out here, and it's 6 pages of various questions that a doctor has to answer. And depending on how the doctor answers these, they may actually order more disability benefits questionnaires for other conditions. Now, here's why that is. When the VA takes a look at your traumatic brain injury, they're not just looking at a traumatic brain injury, they're actually looking at all of the consequences that come from a traumatic brain injury. TBI or concussion can cause things like headaches, tinnitus or tinnitus, I still don't know how to pronounce that, bradykinesia or tardikinesia, problems with movement, behavioral changes, sensory loss or sensory problems. So people have gone blind from traumatic brain injuries. Vertigo is a common problem. The ability to communicate could be impaired. These are actually all rated separately. So the VA can give a rating for TBI depending on how the symptoms balance out. But if there are multiple symptoms that the VA has to rate separately, they have to look at them separately and then figure out how to give the highest possible rating based on all the evidence. Now, in order to give the VA enough information to make a good decision in your case, not saying they will make a good decision, but in order to give them the amount of information they need, if you're applying for TBI, you should consider applying for TBI, but also noting the symptoms that you have. And then what will happen is the VA will know to order those exams right away and look at them in the context of the traumatic brain injury. Traumatic brain injury might sound like one disability, but really it is multiple disabilities all wrapped up into one, depending on what your symptoms are. Now, when it comes to rating it, this is where things get truly complicated. Because psychological conditions, such as depression and PTSD, can overlap with the symptoms of TBI, sometimes they will merge the two ratings. So it's important to look out for things like, well, if you have headaches, that's not a symptom of a psychological condition, that's a whole separate condition. So what you want to consider is, when you get this rating back, are all of my symptoms addressed in this actual rating decision? Are things rated separately and appropriately? Now, sometimes there'll be a rating for PTSD and TBI or depression and TBI, and that'll be the only rating you get. Headaches won't be rated for some reason, even though you wrote them down. That might be grounds for appeal. TBI gets very complicated because it's not one condition, but multiple conditions all wrapped up into one. The bottom line, the takeaway from all this, if you have suffered a TBI and you're seeking veterans disability benefits for that TBI, it's best to apply for not just TBI, but also include the symptoms of the TBI that you're experiencing on a day-to-day basis. With that said, I encourage you to check out my other videos. I talk about headaches. I talk about some of these other conditions and how they're rated. I also encourage you to hit like or subscribe, share these videos with friends. And if you've been denied your VA disability benefits, or you don't think the rating's appropriate, you think it should be higher, give us a call or reach out to us on the website or email us, and we'll see how we can help you. Anyway, until next time, take care.